I don't think that teachers get enough accolades for the work that you do. You're literally setting the trajectory for the future of our children. You are teaching them what it means to be a really great leader and what it means to know and own their gifts and talents. And we're not focusing on that, I think, enough. At that age, it is really hard to know anything about yourself. And we should not have the expectation that our kids know themselves at that age, but it is our job to speak into them who we see them becoming. And I actually, very interestingly enough, had a talk with one of my kids' teachers. Actually, he teaches both of my kids today. And I had the opportunity to tell him, he gave my daughter some negative feedback. And I said, you have the opportunity to really invest in her and help her understand that just because she doesn't understand math well, that she is doing the very best that she can. He was teasing her and called her, like, if you don't get it together, you're going to be what we call a super senior.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Cathy Tooley. Thanks so much for joining us on my podcast. Today, I'm with the one, the only, the Amber Fields. I know I've said the one, the only on many, but this one is a really the one, the only. And I have to tell you the one, the only, and the why. So Amber and I go a long way back. Like some people, people say that all the time. Oh my gosh, I've known them for like 12 years or like 10 years. No. I knew Amber in utero, literally in utero. Her mother and I were very dear friends. When I was in high school, back in what,
We won't put that out there.
10 years ago, 10,
I was
something like that. Because I tell people all the time I started teaching when I was 3, but now Amber has, I was at Amber's wedding and you've been married for what?
22 years in August. You know?
5 kids and a grandbaby now. And then I'll let her at the end tell us about what she does because she could explain it so much better than I. But I have Amber on this podcast because we're continuing the series, The Ripple Effect of a Teacher. And this one was a tough one for me to have on, not because it's Amber, because I love Amber, but because I thought, you know what? I want a student's perspective because we've had a day full of lots of educators and administrators and teachers that have talked, but I've not had a student perspective of the ripple effect of a teacher. And so Amber doesn't even know this. So her topic that she picked is the power of one, how one teacher can change a life. And I want to show you something that you probably, right off the bat. So earlier I pulled out, do you recognize this card?
Yes.
So here's a card. This is a card. So earlier I did a podcast called Letter to My Teacher or something like that. I think it was called. And so I was digging in my box of stuff, right? And I came across, it's just a nice, my guess is it must have been Teacher Appreciation Week or something like that. But here's the note that said, I will never be able to thank you for everything you do. I love you. And then I won't say class of whatever this says.
That wasn't that long ago.
I will not. Right. That was a year or two though. So I will not. But I thought that was the ultimate of irony. That as I was digging through, and I didn't get very far before I got to yours. And there was actually a letter in there you wrote too that I thought would be too emotional.
Yeah, let's not read that.
Right. But I just thought I I wondered as you're going to talk about the impact of a teacher that see you have it too. That here we are 3 years ago, as we established that you graduated, though you've been married for 22, and she did not get married in high school, folks. So let's leave that at that. That uh, what impact?
Yeah.
Talk to me about a difference that how one teacher changed your life.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say, Cathy, is thank you for picking me.
Oh,
Thank you for asking. Like I don't think that teachers get enough accolades for the work that you do. And and you're literally setting the trajectory for the future of our children. You are teaching them what it means to be a really great leader and what it means to know and own their gifts and talents. And we're not focusing on that, I think, enough. But as a young adolescent who was a cheerleader, who was in sports, who was super busy, you spoke life into me and you spoke about things that I couldn't see for myself. We have had a lot of conversations in your classroom because I was also the student teacher, the helper,
She was.
little brown noser.
She was a great she did my, bulletin boards because those of you guys those of you teachers that teach elementary, let me just say for a minute, "Oh, I'm so sorry, because we get these. So she would purposely I would help her do her schedule every year so we would have a study hall,
Yeah,
which really she was never gonna be in study hall. Although
that's
I
right.
let you do your homework if you
Sure.
wanted to,
Yeah.
but she would help me do bulletin boards and do those things, so sorry, elementary people,
Yeah.
we get those, but
Yeah.
yeah, so just lots of good conversations.
Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah, so many good conversations, and as a teenager, I'm raising, the 4 and 5 kids of mine, the 4th and 5th are twins, and they're 14 years old now, and they're in 8th grade, and they're approaching that high school time, and it's a very sensitive time in their life. They're so impressionable, and dear God, there are more things for them to deal with today than we had
Oh, 'cause
to
absolutely.
deal with. So the parents I am to them is not the parents I have been to the other 3 kids that I have. But I will tell you, you always gave me great loving feedback. And
I think that's a nice way of saying, I think what are you
and
trying to say?
yeah, and I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a time when you sat me down and said, "Amber, I hate to tell you this, but you were hanging out with the wrong crowd."
And
Yeah. You said you are too smart and you have a future for yourself and you need to get away from these people because they're gonna take you down the wrong path. And I was mad, and I was like, "What do you mean? I love them. They're so good to me." Like, "What?" And I listened because you're right. Influences matter. And so, thank you for saying the hard stuff. And even as an adult, you still say the hard things to me. And like a 14-year-old girl, I kick my hands a little bit and my feet, and I'm like, "Oh, but she's probably right. I need to listen to her." But you saw things in me. I remember you and Miss Hurdle, right? And I was public speaking on the school news or whatever that was. And
little newspaper
yeah,
show or whatever.
our little newscast.
Not as highfalutin as it is today,
Right.
back then.
And both of you were really and I was doing public speaking in her class and learning Spanish in your class, which by the way, do not let my inability to speak Spanish today come from the lack of influence on Cathy because I took 8 years of Spanish and I am still not fluid, but that's okay. That's beside the point. But you both spoken to me that you have a gift in public speaking, that you have a gift in commanding an audience and saying what needs to be said. So you need to do that. And I did that. I took one piece of something and was like, "Oh, I do think that I would be really good at that." Now the history of how it plays out is a little bit different than what I'd hoped, but lots of things happened between then and there that led me to where I am today that I have 0 regrets.
Thanks so much for joining the Tools for Success podcast. Every school faces challenges, things like disengaged students, overwhelmed teachers, and leaders stretched far too thin. At Tools for Success, we've been there too. Our team of licensed administrators and former teachers partner with schools to turn those challenges into growth. Through tailored professional development, we help teachers build confidence, leaders feel supported, and students thrive. Because at the end of the day, student success is what matters most. It starts with just one conversation. Schedule your complimentary consultation at toolsforsuccessindy.com. Now, back to our podcast.
So what is it you think that, because this one is really about the power of one,
Mhm.
how one teacher can influence.
Yeah.
There's lots of people watching this podcast that question whether they are making a difference.
Mhm.
And how, because not everyone gets blessed enough to have a former student on a podcast like I do. People don't get that. I was talking earlier today with an administrator. They're an elementary administrator. I mean, they don't. Elementary kids are probably even least likely to say anything,
Yeah.
less likely to say anything than a high school person. But how? What do you say to them
Mhm.
on the influence that they are making?
Yeah, I say that the way that you look, I understand that you have a lot of students. And I actually, very interestingly enough, had a talk with one of my kids' teachers. Actually, he teaches both of my kids today. And I had the opportunity to tell him, he gave my daughter some negative feedback. And I said, "You have the opportunity to really invest in her and make her and help her understand that just because she doesn't understand math well, that she is doing the very best that she can." He was teasing her and called her, like, "If you don't get it together, you're gonna be what we call a super senior." And he did not mean anything negative by that, but words matter.
Mm.
So I say that to say words matter. And she came home and she was crying. And if you know anything about my child, she is a perfectionist. And anytime, I mean, she is literally me in the 14-year-old version, 30 some odd years later. Um, and he said, Amber, I didn't know that that was what she heard because that's not what I meant. He said I was teasing her. We were joking. It's a smaller class, so I feel like I can be a little more jovial with her. And I said, You can, but you have to know your students and you have to know the headspace that they are in. And because math is something that is hard for her, she's much harder on herself than anyone else when she doesn't get it right the first time. And he said, can I go back and apologize? And I was like, no, please do. Please go do that. Because she is taking everything that you were saying and making a part of her identity at this age. And same, I
Probably had no
he
idea.
had no
No
idea.
idea. Because he certainly I don't think teachers by nature
No.
will wake up each morning thinking, "What can I say today?"
No.
by a child.
No.
But I think unless you, for an example, as a parent, when he said something, he would have no idea
No idea.
of the influence that he was making to that. Wow.
Yeah.
I think about the own dinner table conversations my own kids have had.
Mhm.
And they come home and talk about that teacher or the influence that
Yeah.
that teacher said or the words that that teacher said. And I, was blessed enough to live in education, so very comfortable. When you're a teacher reaching out to another teacher, boy, they'll take your call over
For
the
sure.
phone
Yeah.
because it's almost like, talk to me colleague.
Yeah.
We're in different schools,
Peer.
different things, but it's
Yeah.
like it's just different. It's
Mhm.
just different than a parent who isn't in education because so often it comes across as an attack.
For
So I
sure.
applaud you for the ability to communicate that
Mhm.
I'm certain that wasn't your intention.
Yeah.
I'm certain that wasn't what you meant because I don't think
No, never.
I think what is what is that book, The Pillars? Always when one of them is assume good intent.
Yeah.
Assume good intent behind.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to ask this question, but I have to. Tell me something that I did that made a difference for you.
Yes. So you I thought long because there's so many things, Kathy. Like there's so many things that I could and a lot of it has
We are
happened.
not gonna cry on this episode.
No.
We are
You already got me with the card. Like
not
that alone.
not gonna cry on this
No.
episode. Yeah,
No. Because we have had the privilege of being friends
we have.
after school.
And that doesn't happen.
No.
Those of you that are watching this that are educators now, it's weird when you teach high school kids.
Mhm.
It is because they're not adults when they start with you. The freshmen are just middle school grown-ups, that's all they are. But by the time they leave you, you're looking into the window of adulthood. That's certainly not who they're gonna be at,
40s.
50, 60, whatever they're gonna be, but you're starting to look into a window that is
Mhm.
their future. Um, and that is a very special place to get to be.
Mhm.
So, I can think on one hand of students that are what I would call Facebook friends now.
Mhm.
Amber could name my children. She could name my grandchildren, which we now have 5 of them.
So jealous.
She could name them, and those are few and far between, not because, I didn't teachers don't find that important, but for many students, when the chapter that is high school closes,
Mhm.
the chapter that is our relationship
It's over.
is over,
Yeah.
as it rightfully should be, but there are a handful, and you are one of like I said, I can think of probably about 6 or 8
Mhm.
that are still in my life, and maybe it's because you and I have such a longer history. Uh,
Maybe, or we're both women of faith, and maybe God just had it intended.
continues the path
Yeah.
across, yeah, so
Yeah. I
okay,
believe that
okay,
to be true.
so sorry.
It's okay.
As happens when you get Amber and I together,
Mhm.
we have to stay focused on
Or we
the
won't get
trajectory
yes.
of the question. The
Yes.
trajectory of the question, okay.
Yeah. So
That
what
difference.
so the difference that you made for me, Kathy, was that you spoke belief into me when I did not believe in myself.
Mm. Mhm.
Mm. Um, at that age, it is really hard
So
to know anything about yourself, to know
it has nothing to do with your parents.
nothing.
It just has to do with
All of
the
the
age.
hormones
Yes.
and age and all the things that you're going through and the peer pressure and not knowing yourself. You do not and we should not have the expectation that our kids know themselves at that age, but it is our job to speak into them who we see them becoming, who they are turning themselves into, and seeing the things that they do well that comes easy for them. You said things to me that, "Amber, you are really smart, and you are a great leader. Be the leader that I know that you can be, and do not fall into the path that is not going to end well for you, right? So, yeah, Kathy, for me, it was helping me have the confidence when I didn't have any, or I was beginning to have some, saying things, speaking life into me and believing in me and letting me borrow that from you or have it from you because you had it until I could formulate it on my own.
Mm, mm,
Choke that back.
mm. I never thought of it that way, but it's so I remember saying to my own children, when they would be very upset about something they couldn't do, and I would say, mm, borrow the belief in what you can be from the person who sees it until you can see it on your own.
Yeah. It's a
I
gift.
had no idea.
Mhm.
Mm.
Thanks for listening to Tools for Success podcast. What if 1 minute could change your day? A Gentle Walk, the new faith-based journal by our founder, Cathy Tooley, offers one prompt, one prayer, one small step closer to God. Start your gentle walk today. Learn more and get your copy by visiting Warren Publishing in the link below. Now back to the podcast.
And I learned that from my own father,
Mm,
who used to tell me, um, "You are what you believe you are.
that's right.
If you believe you're successful, you are. If
Mhm.
you believe you're not successful, you aren't.
Yeah.
If you believe that you're a failure, then you are. You will simply create a life that defines failure. If you believe that you're successful, you will create a life that is successful. If you believe that you are loving, then you will love. If you believe that you're a nasty, mean person, then you will be nasty and mean. It's more over what you believe than what anyone tells you. And what I'm telling you is don't ever believe what people tell you that you know is in alignment with who you are.
That's right.
And so I never thought about until right now, the legacy that our own parents leave us that now ultimately influenced by teaching.
Mhm.
Dad would, Dad is spinning in heaven right now to hear that because that belief that I then shared with you came from him.
Yeah. And I didn't know that story about your dad.
I never put it together until because I'm not sure we've ever I don't go around often asking you, "Amber, Denny, Saber, and tell me some good things about me." That's just not the kinda Tuesday conversation you have. Like, "Why don't you do me a favor and share some great stories?"
Yeah.
But that is the intention of why you are on this podcast
Yeah.
today. And and because I wanna make it clear that it's not about me,
No.
but there are Ambers out there.
Mhm.
There are Ambers out there, and there are Cathys out there. And teaching is hard. What we do is hard.
Hard.
Um, what is expected of us is hard.
Mhm.
And the soft skills we teach are critical, and we know it, but we don't have any clue whether it's landing or not,
Yeah.
or whether it's like oil on a duck's back that's just flowing right off.
Yeah.
We don't have a clue. And so I particularly wanted you here for
Mhm.
this topic because we have that relationship.
Yeah.
I was praying you wouldn't make me cry, but there you
It's
are.
a gift that I have also. Shoot. Your face makes me cry, Kathy.
That's her with it. That was thing. That's a whole different story for a whole different day. But and did it but it really absolutely solidifies one person
Mhm.
when you think about it. My dad, as one non-educated, he didn't graduate from high school because back in that day you went to
You
the war.
worked. Yeah.
You went to the war,
Yeah.
and he did what he needed to do, and that was it, and then coming back, you don't go to get a diploma, you go get a job
Yeah.
and take care of your family, which is what he did. But from a man who didn't have a high school diploma to seed words into me that now allowed me to seed words into you is truly the legacy of one.
Yeah.
It's
That I'm feeding into my 5 kids, that I'm feeding into all the people that I lead today.
they will feed into their
Yeah.
families, that
It's
they will
it's the multiplier. Like, it's just 'cause it's now it's a gift that I have as it relates to the people that I lead. I speak belief into them because it was instilled in me. You taught me at a very young age to give back.
Mm. 'Kay. So tell us what you're doing now.
Oh, so now I am a partner and the chief culture officer at a company called True You and True You HR, where we are helping organizations grow their culture through the development of their people, through, it comes full circle. I do it every day. I'm helping organizations grow and scale through their most valuable asset, which are people.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
When I put this together and I knew that we needed to have former students, you were an obvious, especially for this topic, which you picked.
I did.
You picked. Um, and I want to thank you because it's not easy. And I hope that anyone watching this podcast gets it that today is not about me
Yeah.
or you.
Right.
It is about you and I just get to be outward manifestations or examples or
Yeah.
real life things
Yeah.
for what a teacher can do.
Yeah.
The ripple effect of a teacher.
Yeah. It's about the stories.
It's about the stories. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you, guy. I would wrap up with something lovely and cute, but let me tell you what I have. Nothing. I'm going to end it with that. We'll see you on our next episode. Thanks for joining us.